It's another beautiful day to be a Raider, draped in the silver and black. I represent the shield. I represent the swords. It's that time of night again, Raider Nation. And we come back. Why? Because it's time. It's time to bring the...
What's up, Raider Nation? I'm the Commish, coming to you live from Hardcore Challenge Live Studios. Deep behind the enemy line, this is Raider Reaction. And as we do 7 days a freaking week, myself, Raider Popeye, BC Raider, Captain Jack Rackham, Raider at Sin Sister East, JD to SC Raider, JP, Prime, NorCal Raider Rick, Raider at Silver Sunshine, Rip Raider, Raider at Autumn Angel, Commish Jr. We come here with one mission: to paint the world silver and black. That's our mission statement at Raider Reaction. And thank you for joining me on a Tuesday for the Raider Nation Report with yours truly, the Commish. Well, I'd like to dig just a little deeper into each of the topics that are at hand. Now, obviously, the biggest topic is our coach. So I wanted to get into coaching. I want to get into, obviously, the coaching staff. But I would also like to touch on the offense. I want to touch on our three phases of the game: our offense, our defense, as well as our special teams. Our needs: who should stay, who should go. So I would like a little of your participation this evening. A little of your input. So I will be watching the comments, and I would appreciate you following along with the Raider Nation Report this evening. And thank you for joining me. As always, new, old, my band of pirates. Thank you for joining me, each and every one of you. So let's start with obviously the biggest news. And my God, if I had $1 for every time in the last 48 fucking hours I have been at, what do you think about Gruden? Oh my, for the love. If I have to answer that question one more time, what do I think about? What do you think about getting rid of Del Rio? What do you think about Gruden? Oh my God, seriously, because everybody I know, I'm like, half the people I know, I'm like probably the only Raider fan friend they have, and so everybody's got to ask me every freaking question Raider related, and I'm about sick of answering it. So what do I think about it? Listen, there's a right way and a wrong way to go about firing and hiring people in a professional capacity. There just is. If you're not a stand-up individual and you deserve to be treated in a classless manner, then yes, I understand. But I don't believe that Jack Del Rio was the type of guy that deserved to be dealt in a classless manner. I think his dismissal could have been handled a lot better. I think it could have waited till it got back to Oakland. I think it could have been handled in a conversation in-house. I think there could have been a proper press conference where, they stood together and, amicably said we were decided to part ways, whatever. It could have been handled much, much better. A man does not need to break his own firing at his own press conference directly after a game. Not when, not even less than a calendar year prior, you were praising him and giving him a 4-year contract extension. And he's the man that brought us back from the dark ages. So let's remember that. Now, whether you agree or disagree with the fact that we decided to move on from Jack Del Rio, that does not change the fact that the way in which he was dismissed was not right. I don't think it was right. But moving beyond that, it is what it is, and Jack is gone. So we have a head coaching vacancy. Obviously, Stevie Wonder can see it's most likely John Gruden. When you've got John Gruden making comments in interviews that he's glad he's a consideration, that I'm glad I'm a contestant, I'm on the list. Yeah, because you couldn't even in a year prior get John Gruden to even mention anything about coaching. Period. The fact you would even come out of the booth, you mentioned it to him, was just a ludicrous comment. There's no way. Why would I have the greatest gig ever? Why would I ever come out of the booth? But now, the fact that he would even mention that he hopes he's on the list, it's all you needed to freaking hear. It's all you needed to hear. Now I see that, Mark. I see that comment. You love Chucky. Do you love John Gruden, or do you love the memory and the image of Chucky that you have? Because those are two different things. So you really have to stop and think about that. Because yeah, on the surface you love the image, the raw Chucky on the sideline, firing up the team. Yes. But go back and look at the numbers. Forget about all of that. And go back and look at what his legacy left behind. And can you justify paying a man the richest coaching contract in the history of the NFL? Can you justify that based on his resume? Not just based on some mythical Chucky character that we remember from 15 years ago. Because I think the memory of Chucky is actually stronger than the resume of John Gruden. He's barely over 500 coach. He only posted double-digit wins 4 years. And his Super Bowl team was locked and loaded with a historical defense. He was never able to develop a quarterback in Tampa, which is part of the reason he was ran out of town. Now, yes, these are probably all mute questions now, because the decision is most likely made. It is now just a matter of waiting. Because, of course, we have to satisfy the Rooney Rule. We have the fact that he's under contract until after the Chiefs-Titans game that he's going to call. It can't be announced yet. But just let me put it like this. When you have ESPN, the company that is currently paying your salary that you currently work for, when you have ESPN reporting that you're going back to coaching, your company that you currently work for is reporting that you're going back to coach, then that's a pretty goddamn good indicator that you're probably going back to coaching. And the fact that this morning he says in an interview he's hoping he's in consideration for the job. Like I said, I think Stevie Wonder could see that John Gruden's probably going to be the new coach of the Oakland Raiders. So it's Child's Play 2. Chucky's back. That's probably what it's going to be. But until I see it officially announced, We will see. We will see. Now, I challenge that statement, Jukebox. I see your statement. He didn't have the greatest track record. He needs a second chance. Go back and look at the stats. Gruden's team had actually peaked the year before. They had done better the year before than the Tuck Rule season. Statistically, it looked like he was on his way down in Oakland. Then he went to Tampa, was handed a Monty Kiffin historic defense. All he had to do was manage the offense, won a Super Bowl, followed up by a 7-9 season and a 5-11 season. He did bounce back, have an 11-win season, then followed by 4-12, 9-7, 9-7, and out. Now, I understand everybody hopes that he's coming back to resurrect the team. And I, obviously, if he's our coach, he's our impending coach, I certainly hope the same damn thing. Because it is what it is. If he's our coach, like it or not, hey man, hook it up, let's go for a ride. Let's see where we go. We can only hope for the best. We can only hope for the best. Pinning comments, you should pin that in your head. We can only hope for the best. Because the thing is, look around the horizon of the NFL. Look at who's getting fired and who's gotten released. Who else do you want? If we're going to let Jack Del Rio go, and there's been some mixed stories come out the last couple days about locker room issues, about him calling out Carr. There's been some stories. But if you decide, who else is there? Who else is really out there? So if you didn't have the lure of pulling Gruden out, would we have stayed with Del Rio? Because who else would you have brought in? Who else is out there? Now, Vernon, that's a fair question. Take out the Tampa lineage. Take out the Tampa part of their contract. Take out the Tampa part of his career. Take out the Jacksonville part of his career. Match them up. Oakland. Gruden was a little better. He made it into the playoffs 2 years, and he lost in the championship game and in the divisional game. Jack made it once and lost in the wild card and never won the division. So you would have to say Gruden. But I would have to say Jack brought us back out of a much darker era than Gruden did. Gruden helped pull us up too. But I wouldn't say it was quite as dark. And the light was as far down the damn tunnel as when Jack Del Rio stepped in. Which is why I just felt he deserved to be released with a little more class. He deserved a proper press conference. He deserved we would like to thank you for helping us in our rebuilding process. Jack, we would like to thank you for your time. You know, he deserved that, in my opinion. That's the professional way to do it. That's a classy way to do it. You can let somebody go and do it classy. You don't have to be an ass about it and make a guy go out in a press conference and have to wear his emotions on his sleeve. You could see the guy's heart was breaking, man. It was a painful press conference to watch. I don't like watching uncomfortable I mean, because that's a damn grown man having his dream job ripped away from him fucking like 10, 15 minutes before that. And he's got to go out. And that's just... But beyond that, Gruden's coming in. Now, there's been so many mixed reviews about who the offensive coordinator would be. There's been people saying it's going to be him. Gruden would be his own offensive coordinator. I've heard about Olsen coming back. Like, oh my God, just because we're remarrying the ex-wife, we got to start bringing her skanky friends back too. I mean, like, come on, really? So, I don't know, man. I don't know. I've heard about him grabbing the defensive coordinator out of Cincinnati. Who they're saying, and what? Whoa! Just to totally take a curveball. Never mind. Spoiler. I'll save that for later. But there's been so many rumors about who the coordinators would be. And obviously, a lot of the first questions I got when we heard Del Rio was fired was, is Downing gone yet? Of course Downing's gone. I mean, he's technically not gone because who's going to fire him? He doesn't have a boss. But when new boss moves into position of head coach, he clears house, brings in his own staff. So the Raiders have already in-house told all of the assistant coaches that you are free to start looking for a new employment. Feel free. You know, there's a possibility the new guy may retain you, but I doubt it. It's a corporate takeover. Clean out your cubicle. Get the fuck out. That's pretty much, you know, here's a fruit basket. Turn in your key. It's a harsh world. Now, looking beyond our coaches, who we're going to be in limbo for that. First of the week, as soon as the dust settles on Wild Card Weekend, I'm sure we'll be getting the announcement about Gruden. Then we'll start to hear all the rumor, offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator. And there's a good possibility that he's already got those pinned down. There's a good possibility. But we'll wait and see. So moving on from that, let's take a look at our offense. Let's take a look at our offense. Question marks. Biggest question marks. Michael Crabtree, right out of the gate. A lot of the talk has been Michael Crabtree. The fact he was standing on the sideline a good portion of the last game was a big question mark. Like, what's going on? Basically, questionably, our number one wide receiver is staying on the sideline the good portion of the last two games. So it made you wonder, is there something between him and the coach? Or is that a player problem? Marshawn Lynch. Marshawn Lynch is a controversial figure in himself. Marshawn Lynch doesn't like to stand during the anthem. Marshawn Lynch doesn't like to do anything Marshawn Lynch doesn't like to do. It's not really, he has a view one way or another about it. If he just doesn't want to do it, he just don't friggin' do it. So he rubs people the wrong way. But you know what? Marshawn Lynch played his ass off. Marshawn Lynch did not get the ball enough. And when he did, he produced. So you can hate on him all you want, but hate on him all you want. Amari Cooper. There's question marks about Amari Cooper. I hear people calling for a trade of Amari Cooper. They're sick of the drops. They're questioning if he's an elite wide receiver, if he can ever be our number one. He's another question mark. I also hear question marks about Seth Roberts, whether he should be kept around or he should be cut from the wide receiver core. See, those are my biggest question marks. So let's look at and chunk it up in small pieces. Let's start with the running backs. I think we need to bring Marshawn Lynch back for one more season. I think he needs to be used properly. I don't think he was used properly because as they started to change how they were using him as the season progressed, he got better. His yards per average were up. He was third in the league in yards after contact. Tell me beast mode still doesn't have it. Tell me he still doesn't have it. Third in the league in yards after contact. The man needs more touches. He's that kind of back. He's got to get in a groove. He's got to start to wear you down. He's got to bang on you. And then in the late rounds, beast mode knocks you out. That's how he rolls. So beast mode needs to stay. Richard and Washington. I like them both, but I've been stuck. I have to choose between the two. I'm starting to lean more towards Washington than the Richard. And I think we really need to pick up another good, solid, quality draft prospect at running back in one of the first 3 rounds of the draft. We need to bring somebody in. We need to start thinking about the future. Jalen Richard and DeAndre Washington are not our future. They're great gadget backs that work with our feature back, but they are never going to be the feature back. So we need to find that guy. And while we got Marshawn Lynch for another year, we need to be grooming his backup. So, running back core, I think that's where we need to look. And that's where I hope we start looking. Now, at wide receiver, I liked the addition of Cordarrelle Patterson. I did like how they were trying to mix him in with these gadget-type runs and just any opportunity to get the ball into Cordarrelle Patterson's hands is a good thing because the guy is lightning. You never know when he'll strike. Which is why you need him in the return game. And so I think he's a good addition. Now the two that you have the question mark at, that aren't your top 2 guys, are your third and your fourth, are Johnny Holton and Seth Roberts. Holton has all the speed in the world to stretch the vertical game, but his hands are suspect. He can make the big play one play, and the next play completely drop it. Can that be fixed? I don't know. Seth Roberts. I've been a Seth Roberts fan. I've championed Seth Roberts over the last couple seasons, but I needed to see more out of Seth than I saw this season. And it makes me question if it's just time to let him go. I think also in this draft we should be looking for that next generation of wide receiver that's ready to step in to fill a Crabtree spot, possibly in a season or 2. Okay, hold on. I'll take care of that, gentlemen. I don't have time for his ass. He's just gone. I flicked you. I flicked you the fuck right out of here, whoever the hell you are. I don't even care who your team is. I don't have time to even deal with your ass today because I just don't feel like it. So piss off and move along. Where was I? Like I said, Seth Roberts, I think it may be time to, as much as I hate to say it, to let Seth go and bring in some young talent at wide receiver. Bring in some young talent at wide receiver. Now, Michael Crabtree, I believe 150% Michael Crabtree needs to come back. If there was a locker room issue, I believe that could be dealt with. If it is a personality issue, I believe that can be dealt with. There is wide receivers. They're fucking divas, man. They just are. All the great ones, they're divas. And the fact that he's probably difficult, so what? The thing is, I know Michael Crabtree has dropped some balls. And people, only look at that and that's what they remember. But that guy has made some of the clutchest catches over the last few seasons for us. And if you just looked at a highlight reel of Michael Crabtree as an Oakland Raider, and then you can look at me and tell me we can let that guy go, you just can't let talent like that go. You just can't. You can't let NFL hands like that go. You can't. We don't have hands on the roster to replace that. We don't. The only hands that rival that are Coop's. And Coop is leading the league in drops again. Man, we're troll heavy. Listen, it's fine. You want to roll up in here and, because if you're that bored and pathetic of an individual that you want to hang out and do that, that's quite all right. We really don't care. I've only got one rule. If you're not repping the Raider Nation and you want to come up in our party, have balls enough to say who you're repping. And bring the fire. Step with who you rep. That's all we ask. So Crabtree has to come back. Now Cooper, because you can argue over the past couple seasons, Crab's our number one. Eagles. Fucking Eagles ain't gonna. You won the last one. Whoopty shit. You guys are limping into the playoffs like a wounded fucking duck. Nick Foles is not a decent quarterback. Nick Foles is about to. Yeah. We're all going to sit back and enjoy you guys one and done in the playoffs. Because you're going to win as many games in the playoffs. You're going to win as many games in the playoffs as we are. So let me show you where you guys are permanently sitting. You see this little thing? We call this thing on Raider Reaction the fucking kiddie table. You see that? You got a seat on the kiddie table already. That's where your ass is permanently planted. Because you've never, ever hosted a Lombardi trophy. Ever. Ever. You're one of them sorry-ass franchises that just talks a lot of shit, but have never, ever fucking backed it up. Ever. Fucking Jaworski couldn't do it. Randall Cunningham couldn't do it. McNabb couldn't do it. Wentz couldn't stay healthy long enough to get a shot to do it. And now you're relying on Nick Foles. Oh, man. You guys are the weakest fucking trolls we've ever had. You guys are weak and fucking pathetic. God damn. Fucking inbred. It's inbred hour in the comments. Oh, I'm so glad you guys could show up. You and your cousins. But just like at the family reunion, boys, at the kiddie table, you can be seen but not heard. You can be seen but not heard. Because there's grown folks talking over here. So stay at the kiddie table. Thank you. Bye-bye. Alrighty, moving on. Crabtree, gotta keep him. Seth Roberts, Coop. Coop has the talent and the potential to be an elite NFL wide receiver. Obviously, with what we've seen over the past 2 seasons, that's a questionable statement. But I'm not ready to give up on Coop yet. I believe drops are more psychological than physical. Because a man that can make the catches like that man makes, a man that has the speed to break a 90-yard touchdown like he did last game, much like Michael Crabtree, you just can't give up on guys like that. Because if you can get a guy like that to gain the confidence in himself again, I believe that is psychological and he can get past the drops. So I'm not ready to give up on Coop yet. But I tell you what, you give me a 2018 season of dropping passes and looking like a brick mason out there. I don't know how much of an argument I'm going to have with Raider Nation after another season like that. I don't know. It's going to be a tough argument to make for him. So, but hey man, I want to see AC/DC for years to come. And we can't have the AC/DC without the AC. So, I'm hoping 2018 we can get that to come back around. Now, as far as the rest of the offense, I don't think a lot of change is needed. I'm happy with our fullback. I think our tight end position is good. The acquisition of Jared Cook was solid. I think Lee Smith's good to still have around. He's a good blocking back, and he's a serviceable receiving tight end when needed. So I think on the rest of our offense, I don't see a lot of change needed. I'm fine. I'd like to see some depth at O-line. I agree, Vince. I'd like to see some depth at O-line. Maybe pick up a late round O-line prospect. I'd like to see us grab maybe a later round wide receiver. And I would say a middle round running back. It's all I want to see. I would like to see us stay defensive heavy in our earlier picks, much like we did this year. Because I think we have the tools and the talent on offense. We just weren't using them right. I agree 100%, NorCal. Penn needs to have a bounce back season. He needs to step it the hell up. He needs to step it the hell up. The offensive line as a whole. Except for Rodney Hudson. You can't say a damn thing about Rodney Hudson. Rodney Hudson's just in the middle like, I don't do shit wrong. I block motherfuckers and nobody sacks the quarterback on me. I'm just here. I'm the rock in the middle. So you can't say a damn thing about Rodney Hudson. That dude just shows up and straight whoops ass every week. He's like, he's bad to the bone, man. What an anchor to have. To have a great center like that, a Pro Bowl center like that is freaking. So you just, and Assembly right next to him. I mean, I think we can get, the scheme was freaking screwed with the offensive line this season. So I think if we bring in the right guys and we make the proper tweaks, I think we have the talent, and we just need to add some depth on offense. I think we can work with what we have. Now on defense, I think we could add a defensive lineman. I'm concerned about Vanderdoes, torn ACL. He's got a lot of time to get ready, but it's unfortunate because he was the one rookie that really, really paid off and was there all season and was contributing. And to see him go down in the last, that sucks, man. That just sucks. We got Khalil Mack. Now, Khalil Mack is about to become a very, very wealthy individual this season. A very wealthy individual. We pulled the 5th-year option on Mack last season to deal with Derek Carr's contract. So that would allow us to deal solo with Mack's contract this offseason. And I'm sure we'll have that signed and done before training camp comes around so that we don't have that distraction, much like we did with Carr. I would hope. Although we got a whole new damn regime coming in. Although we're going to have the same GM, I hope. Although there's been crazy rumors about that shit too today. Good God. Off-season is like, it's like TMZ football. There's just so many stupid rumors, it's ridiculous. It's like as soon as a team's eliminated, it's like, Martians are going to be the next offensive coordinator. It's just the stupidest ass stories pop up everywhere. Everybody's got a conspiracy theory. Everybody's going to be the next head coach. And it's off season. The games are over. Everybody needs to have something to talk about now. So you start inventing shit. So, yeah. The big question mark is how much is Mack going to cost us? How much is that going to be a hit against the cap? How much room is that going to allow us to make moves? We need to keep Navarro Bowman. We need to keep him 100%. Marquell Lee, he looked like he could be okay at the beginning of the season. Then he got banged up. And then he just kind of disappeared. Nicholas Morrow was a nice surprise, but I think we should go early. Possibly second round for a linebacker. Our biggest weakness, by far, are defensive backs. This is where the changes need to happen. I think we need to cut Amerson loose. I think Amerson needs to go. I think that experiment has ran its course. We need to keep TJ Carey at points this season. He was our best corner. Like it or not. Statistically, at points this season, he was our best corner. And you can't cut everybody. So Amerson's got to go. I say we keep Carey. Sean Smith. Here's the thing. I said coming into the season that I thought Sean Smith was a very talented individual who did not get the scheme and was not used properly the season before. And I had a hard time feeling that he lost that much in one season. And I wanted to see what he brought this season. Now, for 2/3 of the season, he didn't look good again. But then all of a sudden there was a defensive coordinator change. Sean Smith was starting to be used properly. In the last 5 games, he looked pretty damn good. Of course, there were some plays But then again, you can't get rid of everybody. Now, Sean Smith obviously has the legal issues hanging over his head. So he's a question mark. I think I would like to keep Sean Smith. If he's not in jail. That's a big if. I think we should spend our first number 1 pick because we got Garyon Conley coming back. And I think we should spend our first overall pick on a corner again and try to find the other half of a dynamic young corner duo to help build our defensive core. Now at safety, we got Obi coming back. And we got Carl Joseph. I'm a big Carl Joseph fan. So Carl, I think I'm also a Shalom Lawani fan. I think if he gets more time and more reps back there, he can be a guy who can play a little hybrid corner for us as well as Obi. But we need to let Reggie Nelson go. Reggie's got to go. Reggie has to go. Reggie barely made the team this season, and you can obviously see why. He should have not made the team. It was probably a lack of nobody there better than him. But Reggie's got to go. Reggie's got to go. Now that leaves our special teams. Obviously, Marquette King is money. I wish he'd shut the hell up sometimes, but he's money. He's one of the best damn punters in the league. That man leads the league in placing the ball inside the 10. He's money. He's one of the best punters in the league. We're good in that position. Kick returner, Cordarrelle Patterson. We're solid. And when you start talking about the kicker, people start to get real sensitive. You're just talking about a Raider veteran here. You're talking about a Raider legend. Oh, Bill, I agree. I seen that. That shit was bad, man. You ain't gonna lie. That dude can't sing for shit. That was bad. He's a Raider legend. But the thing is, man, you got a kicker around 40 who has an ailing back and a bad knee. And when you look at his stats over the last 4 seasons, the kicks that he's missing are over 50. And that's why we've always had him. So if he can only kick the same kicks as an average NFL kicker can kick, why would we keep Janikowski and pay him 3 to 4 times as much as we can get your average run-of-the-mill NFL kicker for? Now, I liked Giorgio Tavecchio's story. I liked the kid that had come to camp, the resilience. He'd come to camp. And then finally, Seabass starts the season on IR. And he comes in. But the fact of the matter is, it was a good story. But it ain't going to be a good ending for Giorgio. Because he does not need to be around 2018. He's not the kicker that we hoped he would be. And he does not need to make the team in 2018. Now, Sebastian Janikowski, I believe it is all up to him. I believe we need to sit down and have a conversation with Seabass, explain to him that he is a Raider legend, a Raider icon, and that we want to treat him with the utmost class and respect and that it is ultimately his decision. But we feel maybe that it is time that he should hang him up. But if he feels he doesn't want to hang him up, I say you give him the right to compete for the job. And if he doesn't win the job, then he doesn't win the job. But if he comes out and he wins the damn job, you give the man one more year. And I think that's fair. But you have to explain to him, you're going to have to be paid accordingly. With where you are now. We can't pay for Sebastian Janikowski 8 years ago. Price. You got the same name, but you're not the same guy. $1 million a year. And the respect to let you go out a Raider. I think that's fair. For a kicker his age. But the reality of the matter is, we need a new kicker in Oakland. And as much as we love Sebastian Janikowski, he's not the long-term fix. And we need to figure out who it is, and we better do it sooner instead of later. Because that's not one that's going to be able to not be dealt with. Not at all. Now, I'd like to thank you guys for joining me. As always on Tuesday, I'd like to have the Raider Nation Report. Spend a solid 60 minutes of getting into everything silver and black. When I have my solo shows, I like to wrap them up with something I like to call the WTF. Now, I saw the craziest story today. One that made me stop and I was like, what? So, I saw a coach got a contract extension, a 2-year contract extension today. Head coach, AFC head coach. Marvin Lewis, head coach of the Cincinnati Bengals. It's a 2-year extension. For what? How do you give a coach an extension for? Has he ever won a playoff game? Has he ever done anything for them? Is the coaching pool in the NFL that fucking shallow? That they're just desperate to keep anybody around? Is that why we have to go out and sell our second born to sign John Gruden? Is the talent pool of NFL coaches that fucking shallow? That the Bengals can't look out on the horizon and see anybody better than Marvin fucking Lewis? That we will go out and give John Gruden the biggest contract possibly in the history of the NFL? Exactly, Tito. You gets one too. I'll be like, I don't. Is it that bad? Guys, maybe we should tighten up our resumes. Maybe we should start knocking on some doors, guys. That's what I'm saying. There may be some jobs out there for us, fellas, ladies. Maybe some jobs. Apparently, there's a market out there for NFL head coaches. Quality ones. Jamal, you know how to run an offense. You played Madden. The Browns need a new coach. So do the Bengals. Shit, anybody can coach the Jets. Hell, give it a shot. You can't do any worse. What worse could you do? Lose all your games? But I just look at these coaching hires over the past couple weeks, man, and I'm just like, is this as good as it gets? The Browns will sign a guy that can't win but 1 or 2 games over 2 seasons? The Bengals will bring back Marvin Lewis, who won't do anything? The Raiders are willing to sell everything in the world to get John Gruden, who doesn't even have that great of a record, and it all just makes me say, what the fuck? Doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense. I'm sick of my team being the team that's changing coaches all the time. I'm sick of it. I want some continuity. I want some consistency in our franchise. Man. Maybe that's what the Bengals are trying to do. Is they're just trying the damnedest, the best they can do to give their franchise some consistency and leadership. Maybe that's what they're trying to do. Maybe that's what they're trying to do. Because at some point, man, you can't keep changing. At some point, you have to stick with somebody. Look at the Patriots. Look at the Steelers. Look at the Packers. Look at the Seahawks. I mean, even look at the Cowboys. If they're down season, they're sticking with their coaches. It's starting to be the thing that successful franchises are doing. Look at the Saints. They're back in the playoffs again when everybody was saying they should get rid of Sean Payton. They stuck with him and now they're back again. They even stood by him through a suspended season. We won't let our coaches make one mistake before we throw them out the fucking door. At some point, we have to have some consistency at the top. Somebody has to be the general. Somebody. It's going to be Gruden. Then so be it. Not my pick. But I don't have to like who brings us back. Just bring us back. That's all I'm saying. I don't have to like who brings us back. Just bring us back. Because that's really all we want. It's the return to greatness. It's not a popularity contest. I don't have to like your ass, John Gruden, for you to be our head coach. But I don't have a great feeling about it. But I hope I'm wrong. Because it looks like he's coming. Thank you for joining me. Make sure you tune in tomorrow night, 7 o'clock Pacific, 10 o'clock Eastern, right here for Ghost to the Post, Silver and Black, Coast to Coast, with myself. And NorCal Raider Rick will be joining me as we will rip through everything Silver and Black, make our picks for the upcoming wild card weekend, and touch on everything as we drop back deep in the pocket and let it fly league wide. But until then, I'll see you tomorrow. Get out there. and help us paint the world silver and black. I'm out. Thanks for joining me. Peace, love, Raider Nation.